Hi, fifth graders. I'm excited to get our Monday started with an actual reading lesson. This will be our first time really diving into a reading topic. And our lesson that we're going to start out with is super, super important. Today, we're going to be talking about how to choose a good fit book. And you may be thinking, like, I've heard this before. We learned this in fourth grade, we learned this in third grade. It's because it's so important. Sometimes we get excited about reading a book, or we know we need to choose a book to read, and we just kind of like randomly grab a book off the shelf and we say, I'll try this one. That is not what makes reading exciting. I want you guys this year to be able to take the time to find a book that you're really excited about reading. Part of that is that it's a book that interests you. The other part is that it's a book that is just at the right level, not too easy, not too hard. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So if you take a look over here, I have a handout for you. And this is just a really good little overview of some things to keep in mind when you're choosing a book. It should never be just grabbing a random book off the shelf that has a cool cover, right? It should be a lot more than that. It should be a process. So this is called I Pick Good Fit Books, and the PICK is an acronym to remind you of four important things. So the P stands for purpose. Why is it that you are wanting to read a book? Is it just for pleasure? Is it me saying, hey guys, it's time for you to read independently, choose a book you're interested in? Or is it, hey, I need you to do some research on a general from the Revolutionary War? That's a lot different, right? You're going to have to be more particular in the type of book that you're choosing in order to fulfill the purpose. So hopefully a lot of the times you're just reading for enjoyment and that's your reason, but sometimes it might be connected to an outcome, something that you have to do. So maybe research. The I stands for interest. Is it something that interests you? We all have topics that we love. We all have genres that we really enjoy, and maybe not so much, right? I love fiction. I'm a fiction reader. Occasionally, I challenge myself to read sci-fi or read nonfiction. Those aren't the books that I'm typically drawn to, but I still find that when I choose those books, I tend to really enjoy them. But just what's a topic that you like? For me this summer, with all that was happening in the news, I chose to read some books about different races and trying to get to understand people who come from different cultures. That was sort of a new interest of mine this summer with everything that I was hearing and seeing on the news. So your interests might change. Just because you love Diary of a Wimpy Kid books in fourth grade doesn't mean you have to keep reading those in fifth grade. It might mean that you do. But our interests kind of change over time, and you should roll with your interests in the books that you choose. Next is comprehension. Is it something that you can understand? And I'm actually going to talk about that along with the next one, which is know. Do you know most of the words? Those last two are very connected. If you are finding that the book is too difficult and there's a lot of words you don't know, it's probably going to affect your comprehension. It's going to be a little bit harder for you to understand it, right? Now, you might be surprised to hear me say this. I don't want you to choose books. Surely I don't want you to choose books that are too hard that you don't understand. But I also don't want you to choose books that are too easy. Sometimes students think if they can read every word on the page, it's a good fit book. That's actually not true. Because if you continue to read books where you know all of the words and you understand every single thing you're reading, you're always going to sort of stay at that reading level. At your age, in order to push yourself into, increasing your reading and your reading level, you need to challenge yourself. You need to expose yourself to new words that you've never seen before. Don't be scared by that. That's a good thing. That's an opportunity to learn and grow when you see a new word on the page. Now, where you have to be careful is if you're finding that on a page there's so many words that you don't understand that it's getting in the way of you following the storyline or understanding the topic. That's when you have to be a little bit careful. But please, please, please challenge yourself and choose books that are going to expose you to new words and new ideas. All right. So those are some considerations. Now, when you go to the library, whether it's the public library, or when you get here to school, I'm going to show you my classroom library. And I have these bins of books, and I'll kind of talk to you more about how they're all organized. But in order to check the purpose, the interest, your comprehension, and if you know most of the words, it takes a little time to choose a book. So you might kind of flip through and you might say like, oh, this looks kind of interesting. This is a cool book. It's called Code Talkers. Now, if you take a book back to your seat, or if you start reading a book without having read the back of the book or the inside cover of the book to see the summary, you're not setting yourself up to choose a book that you're going to love. Sometimes I see the cover of a book and I think, oh, that sounds really good. And then I go to read the back and I think, not really my thing, not what I thought it was going to be. It's kind of like if you ever look at a movie on Netflix and you see the picture of it and you think, oh, that looks really good. And then you watch the trailer of it and then you think, oh, not what I thought. I'm going to watch something else. That's kind of how books are. You got to take the time to read the back to get to know what it truly is about. Okay. You should also take a second to open the book up and just try reading a paragraph or two out of a random page. Don't go to the very end of the book or you'll ruin the ending, but just kind of open up randomly just to check and see, are there too many words I don't know, or is this way too easy? So take your time in choosing a book. Today, you're going to be choosing a book on Epic, and I'm going to be telling you more about that in your next lesson. So you're going to want to make sure that you're practicing all of those things, even when you're choosing a book online today. Whether it's a book you hold in your hand or a book you read online, take the time to make sure it is a good fit book. Thanks for joining me, fifth graders, and I look forward to hearing more from you on the books that you are choosing, books that you are interested in, books that you can read for enjoyment, and books that you know the words and you'll be able to understand. Looking forward to hearing what you are reading. Bye-bye, guys.